Hi all, welcome to Learning Mathematics. Today we'll be discussing on miscellaneous type of problems on fraction. Before we proceed on today's discussion, let us have a small recap of our last tutorial, last session, where we discussed on definition of fraction and then explanation of fraction uh, using different type of examples, denominators, numerators, what they are and where it is being used, the different type of fractions, their definitions, and explaining all those different type of fractions with examples. So let us have a small recap. And one more request from you. Please let me know the speed in which I am explaining, whether it is okay or you would like it to be more fast tracked or you want it to be a little bit slower. Whatever way you are comfortable, please share that in your comment. Okay, so we'll discuss on understanding fraction and different type of fraction with examples. So we know the definition of fraction. A fraction indicates one or more parts of a whole. If you want to understand more into details, kindly refer our last tutorial or last session. Then also we discussed on denominator and numerator. What part of a fraction we call it as a denominator and what part of a fraction we call it as a numerator. Then there are different type of fraction that we discussed. We discussed on like fraction, we discussed on unlike fraction, proper, improper, mixed, and unit fraction. We know like fraction and how does they look like. The fraction with same denominators are called like fractions. So if I give you an example on the fly, it will be 2 by 5 where 5 is your denominator. Then let us discuss another fraction, consider another fraction which is 3 by 5. Here if you can see the denominators are same, it is 5, and numerators are different. One is 2 and second is 3. So 2 by 5 and 3 by 5, as their denominators are same, we call them as like fraction. We also discussed on unlike fraction. The definition of unlike fraction is fractions with different denominators are called unlike fraction. So when we call it different denominator, let us have a small understanding using an example. Consider two fraction, 2 by 5 and 3 by 4. So in this two fraction, 2 and 3 are numerator and 5 and 4 are denominator. So here the denominators are different, 2 by 5 and 3 by 4. So they are unlike fractions. Even 2 by 5 and 2 by 4, they are also unlike fractions because their denominators are different. Let us understand what proper fraction is. Fraction with numerator less than its denominator are called proper fraction. Let us again take an example. 2 by 5. Here if you can see, 2 is your numerator and 5 is your denominator. So 2 is less than 5. Hence 2 by 5 is a proper fraction. We also discussed on improper fraction. The fractions with numerator greater than equal to its denominator is called improper fraction. So you understood 2 by 5 is our proper fraction. The moment we change it as 5 by 2, here 5 is your numerator and 2 is your denominator, 5 by 2 is your improper fraction. We also discussed in detail on mixed fraction. The definition of mixed fraction is when an improper fraction is written as a combination of a whole number and a proper fraction. It is called mixed fraction, like 2 whole 2 by 5. So we'll discuss more details on mixed fraction. Mixed fraction is another representation of improper fraction. We can convert improper fraction into mixed fraction. We can convert mixed fraction into improper fraction. And then again, we discussed this is the last type of fraction, unit fraction. The fraction where we have 1 as a numerator, we call it as a unit fraction. Like your 1 by 5, 1 by 7, 1 by 8, everywhere 1 as a numerator. So all this 1 by 5, 1 by 7, 1 by 8, we call them as a unit fraction. Okay, so this will be our today's different discussion on miscellaneous problems. We will discuss how to write, how to represent a fraction in word, like one half, one third, one fourth, two thirds, three fourths. We also discuss that how to represent word into fraction. We'll also discuss uh, what is the different numerator and denominator of different fraction. Then again, if there is an example where it has been given that this is your numerator, this is your denominator, and if you have been asked to form the fraction, how do you do that? We'll discuss in detail on that. Then there are fill in the blanks where certain fractions has been mentioned, and we will be asking to discuss on denominators and numerators for those fractions. Okay, there are certain problems where you see we are asked a part of a whole, like what is one half of 28 apples, what is two-thirds of 1,000, what is 1/10 of 5 hours, all these things. Then there are some word problems, very interesting word problems we'll take you through. Then how to represent a fraction as division, we'll discuss on that as well. Most important miscellaneous problems on fraction which I have got, and this will be very interesting. Here we'll be learning on reducing to lowest terms. So how to reduce one fraction to its lowest terms and what exactly lowest term is. Then we'll also be learning on uh, comparison of different fractions. It can be like fractions, it can be unlike fractions, and how it is possible to compare different type of fractions and decide which one is bigger, which one is smaller, whether they are equal to each other. We'll also be discussing on descending order of different fractions and then ascending orders of different fractions. We'll take you through the subtraction of fractions, like fractions, unlike fractions. Yeah, and this is very interesting. Conversion from mixed fractions to improper fractions. I hope you remember what exactly improper fraction is, where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. And then again, change from improper fraction to mixed fraction. Then subtraction between different mixed fraction, how to do that. Then we'll also discuss on additions. We'll work on simplifications. We'll work on how whole number can be added to a mixed fractions, different way of additions, how to compare different mixed fractions, how to compare between mixed and improper fractions. Okay, let us start then.
Hi, let us start solving our miscellaneous problems on fractions. The basic type of problem that we will see is writing fractions in Word. This is very common type is available. So, how do we do that? Like 1 by 2, how do we represent in words? It will be 1 half. So, this is for 1 is for your numerator and 2 will be represented as half. How will represent 1 by 3? It will be 1 third. So 1 is your numerator and 3 is your denominator, which will be represented as thirds. So now if you take a whole and you divide it into 3 equal parts, and out of 3 one part is represented as 1 by 3 in fraction, and in word you will write it as 1/3. If you take a whole and you divide it into 2 equal parts and you take one out of it, then you can represent that fraction as 1 by 2. 2 equal parts and you are taking one out of it, 1 out of 2, 1 by 2, and we represent that as 1/2. Coming down to 1/4, it will be represented as 1 F-O-U-R-T-H, 1/4. So 1 by 4. 1 is your numerator and 4 will be represented as fourth. Now when your numerator is more than 1, like here, 2 equal part out of 3 and 3 is a whole, so we will represent inward as 2/3. It is not 1/3, it will be 2/3. So what will be the representation here? 3/4 will represent as 3/4. 5/11, 5/11. 1/11, 1/11. 61/3. 61/3 is your improper fraction where your numerator is greater than denominator, and we'll represent it in word as 61/3. Okay, so this is how we'll write fraction into words. So the same way how we will write in fraction, this is written in words. So 1/2, so we'll do it as 1/2. So 1/2 is your proper fraction, and as the numerator is 1, it can also be called as an unit fraction. 1/3, 1/3, 1/4, 1/4, 2/3, 2/3, 3/4, 3/4, 6/17. So how we can write it in fraction? So 6 will be your numerator and the denominator will be 17. So the whole is divided into 17 equal parts, and out of 17 equal parts we have taken 6 equal parts out. So that 6 equal parts out of 17 equal parts we represent in fraction as 6/17. So 6/17. 1/15th, 1/15th will be this fraction. So please tell me, 1/15th is what type of fraction? Yes, you're right. It's a proper fraction. Anything else you remember on the fly? Yes, it is a unit fraction because the numerator is 1. 52/3. 52/3 is a improper fraction. So now we know how to change from word to fraction. Let us go to next example. Write the numerator and denominator of following fractions. So here we have discussed it multiple times in multiple slides and multiple sections, multiple sessions. So we now pretty clear what exactly numerator is and what exactly denominator is. So if there is a fraction, then fraction there will be two numbers. One number will be above the line and the second number will be below the line. The number staying above the line we call it as a numerator. So here in 6/7, 6 is above the line, so 6 will be numerator and 7 will be denominator. Out of 9/13, it is pretty simple for you all now. 9 will be what? Yes, you are right. 9 will be numerator. And 9/13, 9/13. So 13 will be denominator. Let us try to use some dark color. Now what is the next question? The next question is write the fraction in which numerator is equal to 7 and denominator is equal to 9. So it will be 7/9 is your answer, because it is mentioned that numerator is that number which is above the line and it is equal to 7. That's the reason in the place of numerator we have written 7. Denominator is the number which is below the line, and in the question it is mentioned denominator is equal to 9, hence we have written in the position of denominator as 9, and the fraction is 7 by 9. Fill in the blanks. What is the question? In 12 by 13 the denominator is, obviously this is the denominator, it is 13. In 15 by 22 the numerator is, could you please answer that? Yes, it is 15th.